Welcome to Unstoppable Real Hospitality. Your host, Arjan Sella. Today's guest is James Page. He's very famous in his industry. He's an expert on digital advertising, especially on restaurants or the restaurant groups. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are.
Wonderful. So my name is James Page or Jimmy Page. I kind of go by both names, and I'm the founder and president of a restaurant marketing agency called Hudson Creative. We're based in New York City, off Madison Avenue, and we work with some incredible restaurant groups, clients like Patina Restaurant Group, Wolfgang Puck, Urban Space. And I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into this as we talk, but in a nutshell, we help more users find these brands online and kind of walk them through that process. So yeah, thanks again for having me. I'm glad to be on the podcast.
It is a pleasure. Well, to start the interview, please tell us, how did you start it? Where was your company located first? From where you started? Tell me the history.
Wonderful. So Hudson Creative started, it's probably about nine years ago. I filed for the business. And when I originally filed for the business, I was working as a freelance website designer in Hackensack. So we'll get, I think, a little bit more into this, but right now we focus on like the marketing now, which is more of like a full scope service. But when I first started, I was really focused on the website design and how that process worked. So it was about 9 years ago. At the time I was working as a waiter. I was waiting tables at a waterside restaurant and catering, which is in West New York in New Jersey. Was waiting tables by night, designing websites by day, and just trying to hustle as much as I could. Around that time, I had a friend introduced me to another gentleman who owned a printing shop in Hackensack, New Jersey, called Ready Print. His name is Chris Papson, and he's still a close friend of mine today. So I was explaining to Chris how I had this skill for designing websites. And Chris said, you know what, like, why don't you come into the printing shop? I'll give you a desk in the printing shop, and if you can pitch websites to people as they come in. So he would have clients come in who didn't. I would look at their business card and I could tell right away whether or not if they had a website. And if they didn't, I would try to talk to them about having a website. And we kind of went from there. There at the time, I think it became popular very quickly. People really liked the website service that we were offering. I think I designed almost 200 websites in like 2.5 years or something like that. I was designing websites at a very fast pace. And then so from there, I realized I would design a website for somebody, and then they would come back and they'd be like, the website looks great. I love everything about it, but I think the website's broken. And I would be like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it looks great, but when I Google it, it's not showing up in Google. So I can't find it. So instantly I became obsessed with, once you launch a website, how do you get Google to pick that website up? And then, because mostly I did it in the beginning because I was just sick of clients coming in and bothering me after I had finished the project. They would come back and say, but I can't find my website in Google. How do I do this? So in the beginning, I guess I learned how to do that out of need for answering client questions and just trying to get them to either stop bugging me or just try and provide them the best service possible. And then from there, I began to know a lot more about how Google indexes websites and how that whole process works.
Wow. Well, you got to hustle, you brought
That's it.
So now you're the CEO and founder of Hudson Creative. So who is Hudson Creative?
Hudson Creative it's a group of 5 going on 6 employees. We have an office at WeWork Nomad, which is right off Madison Avenue. And I think so. I'll try and explain, I guess, in a nutshell. We do a variety of different things. Really, we offer 3 services: website design and development, search engine optimization, and paid ad management. I think the thing that sets us apart is our ability to understand search engines, which are like a pretty confusing thing for people nowadays. Like, and how does Google work? People always have a lot of questions about this. So that's probably one of the things that sets us apart. You've probably heard this buzzword before, search engine optimization, and everybody's always talking about SEO. And so like, what does this even really mean? So specifically for restaurants, what this means to us is that when somebody like doesn't know where they want to go out and eat, and they end up going to the internet, going to Google, going to Yelp or to OpenTable or to any of these services, and they want to go like find the recommendation. They want to find where they want to eat. We help out with that process. Like, that's where we come in, and we can help you position your brand or your restaurant or your specific location in a place where users can easily find you when they're going online to look for a recommendation of where to eat. There's 2 major ways that we do that. One is very technical. There is like each restaurant location has what Google would consider structured data that applies to that restaurant: the name, the address, the phone numbers, the operational hours, a short description about the business. This is all data that Google is trying to index about each one of these restaurant locations. So on the technical side, we basically help each restaurant location organize this data and then make sure that the data, both the data that's on their website and then the data that's on all of these other websites like Apple Maps, Yelp, OpenTable, even like Foursquare or Facebook, all the information that's on across all of these websites about your location is perfectly consistent and perfectly accurate towards your business. That's probably the more technical aspect of what we do. And then the other aspect is a little bit less technical. It's more about branding. So on the branding side, we help a restaurant location do research as to what are the most popular ways that people might be looking for that type of restaurant. And then we help the restaurant change the wording on their website or on their Foursquare profile or on their Google My Business profile. We make sure that all of these profiles use the same exact words that people are searching for in order to find that type of restaurant. So we basically try and position the restaurant for the words that their target users are using to search for them. So the end result is people find the restaurant in this place online where they would expect to find it, and the restaurant is able to kind of reach their target customers, the people who they really want to be looking for.
Wow. How about getting the like email list for restaurants? You guys do that too?
That's not one of our focus areas, but email lists. We have helped clients build their email list through what we would call like a contest promotion. So you could put up a landing page on your website that has like a box where you could collect somebody's email, and then you'd promote like a contest. One that we did for one of our units in Orlando, which is Morimoto Asia, Iron Chef Morimoto's one of his flagship locations down in Orlando, is he was going to be at that location. So we ran a contest that says you could learn how to make sushi. It was called Sushi 101 with Iron Chef Morimoto. So we created a landing page on Morimoto's website it's like enter your email to win. So every person who like wanted to win to learn how to make sushi with Chef Morimoto would have to go to that landing page, enter their email, and then enter for a chance to win. And I think we probably collected almost 3,000 emails in like 2 weeks.
Wow. Well, that's big.
Yeah.
That's big. Another question, because And your website says you're expert for restaurant groups and restaurants. Well, it's two different things. Let's say how you do advertising for restaurant groups.
Mm-hmm.
Because when
So,
when a restaurant, it's just one location. When it's a restaurant group, they have typically same name, different locations. And how you manage that, do that, advertising for each location. Because it's the same website, but it's different locations.
totally. So that's a great question. Before, so I was talking a little bit about like a more technical aspect of this and using structured data like the name of the unit, the address, the phone number, and all those items are unique to that location.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if we're promoting a restaurant group, it's really just like a diversified marketing plan that's promoting each one of those individual units. And then if we do our work correctly on each individual unit, the group overall is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So the strategy there, and this is, we're basically going off the way that, that people use Google and use the internet right now to find a place to eat. I mean, so Patina Restaurant Group has about 60 units that we manage the online branding for across the country. They maybe have 20 in New York or so, but it's much more rare for somebody to say, I want to go eat at a Patina Restaurant Group restaurant tonight. That's probably not the way that most consumers are thinking. Most consumers are thinking, I want seafood somewhere near Rockefeller Center, so I'm going to go to Google or go to Yelp and look for a seafood restaurant near Rockefeller Center. And then, maybe at that point they recognize that it is a Patina Restaurant Group restaurant, and that enhances their decision.
Mm-hmm.
But we live in the area of just really trying to promote individual units. And if you can make sure that in that locality, like in where that restaurant exists and the geographic area around there, if that restaurant is showing up higher than its competition and it's easier to find online, that if we can do that same process with every single unit separately in a group, ultimately we've seen very, very large increases in the number of people that are finding both the individual unit and the group itself online.
Another question.
It's all
yes.
about the individual unit.
Yes. Another question is, let's say somebody wants to open a restaurant and he's in process of building the business restaurant, but it's not open yet. What's the best advice to give that person when he should start advertising? I mean, building a website, advertising. He should start like a couple months ahead, or you give me the idea. I mean, the best advice.
So it's also a great question. We posted a article on our website. I forget the exact title of the article, but it's basically what to do when you're opening a new unit and how to handle the online branding side of it. Excuse me. In a nutshell, you should really be starting like 3 months out from the opening. Google takes a little while to kind of like recognize a new website. So even once you complete your website and finish your website and launch it, like that day, you're not going to be able to Google your website and it's going to show up that day. That process takes a few months. 3 months is about as long as it could take. But even aside from Google just recognizing your website, they're like the number one thing that's going to happen on day one, when your restaurant opens, are, people are immediately going to go to the internet and try and find out a little bit of information about your unit before they go in to eat for the first time. Even if when they, like the first thing that they do is they go to Google to try and look up your restaurant, to try and get directions, or maybe just to take a look at your menu or do any of these things before they come in. If they can't find your restaurant on that first day, it's going to cause some problems for you. In my experience, I've seen most restaurant owners or restaurant managers, up until the point where they open, they're very focused on other issues like liquor license or employees or a lot of other things that don't have to do with marketing. And then the second that the restaurant opens on day one, then the manager will come to us or another marketing agency and say, all right, now we need to get people in the door. And it's not that easy to help your website show up in a search engine like at the snap of your fingers. It's going to take, it could take up to 3 months. It's going to take at least 1 month, and it could take up to 3 months. And if you're not planning for that before the restaurant opens, you're going to get a lot of customers who are going to call the restaurant or say something and say, you know what, like we couldn't find you guys online. Or, you know, an even worse case scenario is that there are people, maybe it's an Italian restaurant that you're opening, and then somebody in that area is searching for, you know, a place to go out and eat Italian for that night.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are going to be nowhere to be found unless you've started trying to make some of these proactive decisions a few months before that the restaurant opens.
Wow, that's a great great information to know. Uh, as a I call a digital agency, are you guys involved also with social media advertising? And if you are involved, what's the best advice to give?
We don't directly handle social media accounts right now, but we do work with some other vendors and some great partners
Mm-hmm.
who do offer those type of services. The way that I see it, and the way that our company has kind of been built, is that there are really only 5 to 6 ways that somebody can find you or your website online. You just mentioned social media is one. Mm-hmm. Email would be another one. You know, maybe they open their email box and they see an email from you and they click it and they go to your website. So social media, email, search. They could be looking in a search engine. Referral traffic. They could be coming from somebody else's website who had a link back to your website. Mm-hmm. So that would be referral traffic. Direct traffic, which might just be they know your domain, and so they know, you know, that they'll just type in your exact website URL and they remembered it, so they don't have to go to a search engine or anything. And then the last one is paid. So we said social media, email. Let me see if I can remember these. Social media, email, search, mm-hmm. referral traffic, direct traffic, or paid traffic, where you have, like, you're running a paid ad in Google mm-hmm. or somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So the two that you've mentioned, we don't focus as much on email or on social media, although there are a lot of times where people might want to run a paid ad mm-hmm. to help influence one of those services. So I think in that sense, we do help people say they have a social media initiative or an email initiative. We may be able to use some of our knowledge from search engines and from paid advertising to help them promote that initiative. Yes. And then I also think that there's a large aspect to what we do that has to do with the general branding for a restaurant. So one of the things that I was just talking about before was helping a restaurant choose the words that they want to use to describe themselves online. And they want to choose to use some of the same words that are the most popular words that people are using in Google to search for that restaurant. So instead of, you might get a restaurant that wants to be really creative and they want to make up their own words for the type of food that they offer, which sounds really cool and creative. But on our side of the fence, we want to listen to the people who are going to be dining there, and you can't get too cute and creative online, because then people aren't going to be able to find you. They don't know what you are. So in that sense, I guess we are teaching a restaurant the right words to use to describe themselves, and then they could take those words and use them on social media, use them in an email, so there is an aspect of general branding to what we do that could influence some of those other channels, but mostly I try and stay away from social media.
Well, that's a great information you just give it to me. So that's amazing, because we do get creative, but it's all depend how the clients that look for, what type of words that they're searching, and they're probably so simple, a seafood restaurant. But if you start getting creative, you're just confusing your traffic. So it makes a lot of sense.
And it's hard because restaurant people are very creative people.
Yes. Well, we have to be creative, but
Yeah.
when it comes to advertising and getting traffic, we have to leave it up to the expert, which is you. That's why it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, when it comes to cooking and service, is the restaurant. Yeah. When it comes to advertising and bringing traffic, that's your expertise. So it makes a lot of sense. Let's talk a little bit about business, building, especially your business. And I know it's very hard, to get business. With your experience, you're dealing with a big restaurant groups, tells you that you're doing the right thing. You tell me what's the hardest part to a restaurant owner to work with you. What kind of hard time they give you? These simple words.
Oh, what are some of the challenges?
Yes.
I don't know. Let me think about this one for a moment. The one that we just mentioned could be a real challenge, I think, is people who want to be very creative in the advertising or marketing approach. And you know what? I think about this sometimes as well with website designs, because I love to be very creative with website designs. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, when you're marketing a business, mm-hmm. You have to be saying the same thing for a very long time, a lot of times in a row, which to the business owner can sound very boring. Mm-hmm. But you have to be saying the same thing for a long period of time, to give it like enough time to catch on. And I think it's the same for restaurants too. A restaurant could try something 1 month and then be like, oh my God, this isn't working. This is terrible. And then want to change and change the strategy the next month. But in reality, you need to give something a little bit of time to let it sink in to see whether it's really going to work or not. I think that's one challenge. Another challenge that is, that's very, I guess this is probably like a challenge, not just for restaurants, but for digital marketing in general, mm-hmm. is for a business owner's perspective, how to weigh the difference in between direct sales online versus more like impression-based metrics. Mm-hmm. So we run all different types of campaigns online, and some of those campaigns might be to get catering inquiries, for example, at a restaurant. So, we might have a $500 dedicated in advertising spend that restaurant wants to use that month in order to generate catering inquiries. So they have $500. Maybe they want us to generate 5 viable catering inquiries from that, so that then they're going to make back a lot more than that $500 that they spent in advertising that month. That's a really easy example, but there are other campaigns sometimes where your restaurant just opened, and maybe you want to do not just like a search engine ad, but maybe you want to do like a paid ad on social media or a display advertising campaign where people might click the link and then come to your website, but then you're not going to know whether or not they came into the restaurant or not. Mm-hmm. So maybe you're spending that $500 a month in advertising, but you can't really tell whether or not did they come into the restaurant? Did they not come into the restaurant? Did I just waste $500, or was that $500 the reason why we had a lot more people in the restaurant that month? That's a really difficult question to answer.
Yes.
Even from me, from an expert, it's a very difficult question to answer. So I guess it's a challenge for us, but at the same time, from a restaurant's perspective, I don't know, just make sure that you have, if you have somebody who's managing your digital marketing, make sure they also have like a business sense to them.
Yes.
And can help you with, I don't think I'm always like coming into the room with a restaurant group telling them like, you have to run this campaign. This is like the right idea for you. I think it's my job to translate the technical things about online marketing that restaurant may or may not understand, and then present them with a business decision. It's not my job to make that decision for them. I think the person who's managing your website or the person who's managing your marketing campaign should be able to present you with the information so that the restaurant owner or the general manager can make the best decision for their business. I don't own that restaurant, so I can't say whether or not that's the best decision for them. But I should be able to translate for them in very normal business terms to help them make the right business decision for their restaurant. I don't know if I answered your question correctly. I'm sorry, I went off.
That's okay.
On a bit of a tangent.
No, yeah, it was a great information. Let's say you already got a job, and now you are going to design the website for a typical restaurant. Usually, the chef knows how to design his menu. Now you are the chef of the website. You have to design the website now for that person. You know. Do you have any challenges with a person who owns the restaurant and he wants a certain way to design the restaurant? I mean, the website. How the process works? Do you have to do your way, or you have to go his way? And which way is the best way? It's confusing, but you understand that.
Our way is the best way for sure.
Yes.
But it does have to be a compromise. I think maybe number one, I'll give you two good examples of things that like a restaurateur, they have a common misconception about, or we always find ourselves butting heads with the restaurant owner. For one is copy is the most important thing. Like writing that you put into a website is by far still the most important aspect of that website. So on a website, you have a lot of creative assets. You have images, you might have videos, you might have, your logo, a lot of different types of creative, artistic things that go into the website. Copywriting is one of them, and you have to put a large emphasis on the way that you're creating that copywriting, the way that you talk about your business, and not just like on one page. Like you have to have at least 5 to 10 pages of good writing, that go into that website. Even when you get onto the contact page, like it's not enough just to give your phone number, or say for a restaurant, you might have. Say you're using the contact page to collect catering inquiries. You think that somebody's gonna, maybe somebody wants to do like $1,000 catering event with you or something like that. You think that somebody's gonna put their name and information into a page that just has like your phone number and like 2 form boxes on it? Like, no, you have to talk to them. You have to lead them into it and really like explain to them like sell them. You have to tell them what makes you special and why they should take the time to fill out this form and contact you, and what can they expect next? Like fill out this form. Our catering manager so-and-so is going to be back in touch with you, within 24 hours and help you plan the most amazing event of your life. I don't know, like you really have to be descriptive and use your words. And I think a lot of times restaurants come to us with beautiful food photography, and it's just not enough. You need to have beautiful food photography, and then also beautiful words describing what it is that makes your restaurant special. So I think that's one aspect of it. The other aspect that we usually struggle with a bit is we always like to rearrange your website in order to put your business goals in the focus. So, somebody might have like this big image that they want up at the top of their page, but we might put that image like a little further down on the page, and then at the very top of the page, maybe put some very obvious words that describe what this page is about and what the user is about to read, and then also maybe put like a click to contact us or something like that, like a large colorful button that's up towards the top of the page that might lead them to the contact page or to make an online reservation or a catering inquiry. We like to rearrange a restaurant's website to put the business goals as close to the top of the page and as obvious as possible, because again, it goes back to this concept of you have to be very direct and very obvious with what you're saying to people online. You can't get too cute and you can't get too creative, because you only have a short period of time to reach people online. People's minds are moving too quickly and too fast that if you're not very obvious and very direct with what you want them to do, you might miss them and you might lose them.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. But people, they just keep clicking all over the place, and they see nothing appealing to them. They just they're going to a different website, and then maybe somebody else is more appealing to them. So and it makes
if they're looking for that, that catering or that type of restaurant.
Yes.
If when they get to your web page, immediately they can make a reservation or do that thing that they came to do, then it increases your opportunity of capturing them.
That makes a lot of sense. So, what do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Are you going to expand or help?
I'm very proud of the fact that at the beginning of 2018, so 2017 going into 2018, Hudson Creative, we had 2 full-time employees and then 1 part-time employee. And then now 2018, so it's 1 year later, 2018 going into 2019, we have 5 going on 6 full-time employees. So I think I'm very proud in the journey that we've had over the past year or so. And then in terms of restaurants, I always say that restaurants found us. We didn't find restaurants. We had an opportunity to, even when it was just me, I was the only full-time employee at the time. We had the opportunity to work with Patina Restaurant Group on a very small project that went really, really well for the rink at Rockefeller Center. You can read more about it on our website. And that opportunity kind of propelled us forward. And then Patina Restaurant Group asked us if we could replicate that same success with the rest of their restaurants. And then once people saw that we were working with Patina Restaurant Group, other clients like Wolfgang Puck and Urban Space and Reunion Tower in Dallas, everybody is I don't know, asking us for our expertise. And I don't even think we knew how important our expertise was for restaurants. But over the past year,
so important. Trust me.
I mean, we're nerds about this stuff. We just love the online techie nerd part of it. But the more that I work with restaurants, and I joined over the past year, I joined a group called the New York City Hospitality and Restaurant Group. So it's like a networking group that meets every other week in the mornings here in the city. And I've just really tried to dedicate some time to learning more about restaurants and what their needs are. So the past year has it's been such a journey for me and for the group of employees that we have here to learn more about restaurants and how to apply our expertise to what restaurants really need. So that's been this year. In the next 5 or 10 years, we have a business plan that's set up to reach $5 million in revenue. And so I think that would put us at maybe approximately 30 employees. So that's the dream that I have in my head. And we're going to keep our heads down and keep working hard and keep trying to meet interesting new clients and do our best work every single day. And then hopefully I close my eyes and I wake up in 5 years or less and we've reached that 5 million, 30 employee goal. And then from there, who knows? I don't know. The sky is the limit as long as we keep working hard and interacting with really, really cool, fun people like you, Arjun. I appreciate you having me here today.
Thank you.
I think the sky is the limit.
Thank you. Where are people that can find you on social media?
I have the best place to find anything with Hudson Creative. Our website, if you Google Hudson Creative, you will find our website. All of our social media handles are on our website. We haven't done as good a job of using this, but our hashtag and it's also like our Instagram handle, and where you could find us is hashtag Hudson Creates.
Mm-hmm.
We like to create. We like to help you, create your next initiative or whatever you're working on. Help work together with you and help create it. So that's kind of like our hashtag, and how we identify ourselves on social media is Hudson Creates.
Wow, it was a pleasure, because I just realized, because a lot of people, a lot of businesses, they trying to spread themselves all over the place, and you are really expert on websites, and
Yes.
that makes you different from other digital agencies who are trying to be all over the place, and it makes so much sense, because that's why I keep asking you other questions, but you give me the right answer, because who you are expert on websites, and period.
So yeah, I'd like to say too is that for you and for all the audience and everybody's listening, I've been working around websites it's been pretty close to 10 years. I think I've probably, if I can't answer every single question, but I've probably been asked pretty close to every single question that might have to do with your website. Like, I love answering people's questions, and whether it's a business opportunity or not, for you and for your audience. I'll give you my email, Arjun, too. So like, if anybody there has a question about their website,
Please.
or they're just looking for some advice or how we can help, like, please just call me, ask me, email me, or whatever. Like, I'd love to talk to you. And even if I can't answer the question, I'm sure I can help point you in the right direction. And I would be happy to do it.
Definitely, and it makes sense, because when you build a house, you need a foundation. When we talk about online presence, website
Yeah.
is the foundation, and the rest comes after that. And to build
Exactly.
a foundation is the most important part, to be in a business. And it was a pleasure, talking to you, James. And hopefully we'll do another podcast, later on, next year or this year, who knows. And it was an amazing interview, and talk to you soon then. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Take care.